months of traveling and not seeing a single soul, finally found some sort of ruins on this island. I'm not entirely sure what to expect or find here, but I doubt that we'll find another human being. There's only one way to find out though.
It's been a good while now, but after a break and no motivation and a new world later, we're finally back for another little Forever World series. I'll be honest, after losing all the files on my PC, all the world files, I had no motivation at all to start another little project, but here we are, and I've made my way over to these little islands over here, as you've seen, because it looked like a really nice spot to create a starter build on eventually, or eventually we can transform them into something quite huge. I have no exact plan in mind yet, but we'll see. Up until now I only did the basic stuff. Started off by looting some little shipwrecks, getting some tools, setting up our little base and crafting some iron armor, getting our first diamonds, and eventually enchanting our tools so we can actually build our little starter base today. And for that, as you know, we do need quite some materials, so I'd say we get right into it and get the first few things done. So we'll go further north onto a little boat trip to get all the natural blocks at first that we need for terraforming, since we're building on the little islands and we do have to terraform everything by hand. So natural blocks first, and then we're gonna see what else we need. So with all the materials gathered for the terraforming and some additional off-stream gathering, as you can tell, we got all the materials that we need for the entire build. Before we start terraforming though, we're gonna craft some diamond armor and place the last few copper trapdoors because they have to age. And with all of them in place, it should be pretty much fine now, and we should have all the copper stuff finally done, which means we can get over to terraforming and basically flattening out the entire islands over here, make space for our own custom terrain of our build. So we're actually gonna stay in the same theme as the last world, so we will be building quite a bunch of ancient ruins again, as well as mystical places, and of course we will make it all overgrown. For today's episode I've come up with a little custom island design, as you can already tell, and we will put a little sanctuary on top of the island, as well as some stone henges with a broken bridge that might or might not connect to the other island on the other side at some point. We'll see. Enough yapping though, it's actually time to build finally. With the terrain more or less established now, and the little docks built over here, it actually starts to look like something. Don't get me wrong, there's still a lot to do, and there's an entire build missing basically. But we can see it come together more or less in terms of the terrain at least. If we ignore the entire hole at the top. For the moment, we're still having the storage, the chests over here, since I was too lazy to move them yet, since we will have to build the storage system at first, and after we can move it over there, so don't worry about the little chests over here. The detailing of the terrain is obviously not done for now. I just laid out the little sketch, more or less, the rough parts. We still have to do the underwater parts as well. So there's still a lot to do, but for now we get over to the actual building part where we build the actual build. I had some sort of tower in mind with a broken bridge going over to that island, which we might transform in the future. But for now, I'd say we get into building actual build this video. I think that's it now. We actually do have the schematic in place, of the first version of the build at least. But there's still quite a bunch missing. Some minor and some larger details actually. It's not fully done yet, but it looks a lot better now having a build in place. It actually turned out quite alright, I'd say. I really like how this turned out over here, the little altar. We might have to put a book in here. I'm not too sure about lighting up the candles, so they glow at night and it's darker. But I feel like with the firefly bushes and floating candles, it looks quite nice, I'd say. It's not fully done yet. Like as said, we still have quite some around here because there's like some missing blocks, some missing pieces all around, and we haven't done the transition from water to land yet. On the other hand, there's also mob proofing, which is also missing. But I feel like we can get straight back to building and fix up all the little things that are still missing to actually finish the first version of this build, because I'm not sure if I want to have sand all over here and down here, so we might have to remove all of that and just fix up everything basically. all the little pieces, you know. So I'd say we get straight back to building to fix up all the little mistakes and do the actual detailing of the build. So we do have most of the transitioning underwater done now. There's still some sand and it could be deeper, but I want to get the build done today, so we're gonna leave it as it is for now and head over to the mob proving part, which basically just means placing torches under moss carpets, for which I installed a little mod to check where mobs can still spawn basically. And after that, I just used some bone meal to create some grass around where we needed some more foliage because it was quite empty. And our entire theme is basically overgrown, so I'd say grass was definitely needed basically everywhere. And after all that bone mealing, there was one last thing to do, which was the interior. Because one, I didn't do one part of the interior at all, and two, the life is missing. There's no actual detail and it's not really as overgrown yet on the inside. So we gotta do it now and make this place basically come to life. I feel like that will do quite fine. especially with the vines cut down and strings in place, everything does look a lot better. The storage system, we have 3 little places with chests, and additionally I added a little cave entrance from, not sure if we can call it a lush cave, but we have some little place down here that you've already seen. It's especially nice at night with the firefly bushes over here, no berries. And with all of that in place, we do have the entire storage room pretty much done. There's only the books that are missing in the desert bookshelves basically. But aside of that, we can basically only add like some smaller details in the future eventually. But for now it's pretty much good. Coming to the main tower, I also added a bunch of vines and leaves over here. We do have some hanging bookshelves from the ceiling, since at the top of the build we do have our little enchanting table room, which basically is a library. So I feel like hanging bookshelves from the ceiling, they just add a bunch to the atmosphere, as well as the lecterns, and I feel like candles work so well in libraries. It just add a lot to the atmosphere. Additionally, I added a little chandelier up here, just a little basic one. And coming up here, we have our little enchanting table room, where I decided to put another bunch of floating candles in the air and some sort of crystal, which is supposed to contain some kind of magic or mystical energy, since the world is supposed to be quite lore heavy and we do have some magic around. I just felt like it fits quite well together with the enchanting table, since enchantments might be magic related in this world, who knows. Aside of the crystal and the floating cannons, we also do have some crying obsidian up there, which just adds a few more particles that I felt like was kinda needed, especially at night, together with the firefly bushes in the walls and below. It does definitely add a bit to it, I'd say. Instead of all the magic related things, we obviously do have a bunch of vines and leaves again to make everything a bit overgrown. just slightly. And of course the bookshelves on each of the columns basically. Some higher, some on like some columns there's more, and on some there's obviously less. On the other hand, the top part of the build is supposed to be decaying, so there's a lot of parts missing in the columns, and the very top part of the tower is basically missing completely. Since with time and a bunch of nature, buildings eventually fall apart or break down, decay as already mentioned, which is basically why I designed the top floor up here as if it's slowly collapsing and falling apart. And after cutting down a couple more vines, this was actually a bit too much, it does look already a bit better, and I'm quite happy with how it turned out up here. Aside of that, I mainly used stone-ish blocks for most of the build. We do have some copper elements, obviously, a bunch of moss, hail moss, and a few other blocks. I decided to go with a little fade from dark tones at the bottom to lighter tones at the top, like diorite, starting from deepstate, as you can see, mainly because at the top buildings do seem in general just a bit brighter due to the skylight, sunlight, and the human eye, which makes things that are further away from you seem a bit brighter. So for the texturing and shading, I used quite a bunch of coal ore to have this transition from deepstate to normal grayish stone blocks, or to smooth stone. Then in the end we have the diorite at the top. And do you think there was only one thing left that I forgot, which is or was lighting up some candles in here, as well as putting the booking quill into the lectern and basically just enjoying the atmosphere. So for a starter build, I do think it actually turned out quite okay. It is a tiny bit large, but I thought we definitely had to create something memorable in the long run and a place where I kind of want to stay for a bit. Yeah. Over here in the Stonehenge floor, I did incorporate compass design basically. Since the world is kind of based on exploring as well, so we will explore quite a bunch of places in the long run, and I just felt like it fitted quite a bit. So yeah, that's the first version of our starter base. A few more will follow probably, since I'm not sure if we're 100% done. There's always room for improvement, so we'll see in the future. But for now, this is the first version. So, with the sun rising, we're coming to an end with the video. I want to thank you guys for watching so far, and I really hope you enjoyed the video. And gladly leave some comments, feedback, and ideas for future videos in the comments, and I'll see you next time.